The law is universal, he says. Obviously, that just means there isn't any aspect of our life that's indifferent. You know, we can't think that there are, I guess we can't section off areas of life. Like these are religious areas, and we have to be pretty careful here. These are the important areas. But then there are the indifferent areas where maybe we think that it just doesn't matter what we do and our motives. But the law of God actually touches every aspect of human existence.
Yeah, I was thinking about this earlier, how, there are areas that we think government should not meddle in. And maybe they don't really have authority to go there. But we can't say that about God. He's not being meddlesome when he rules over every aspect of our life or demands obedience in every aspect. The different levels of government perhaps have different levels of reach. So if you want to think about it like that, God is the supreme form of government. He's the king. And so, yes, he has much further reach. He has infinite reach. And any other form of rule or government would be limited in comparison.
Yeah, if you think about, think about the authority of a parent over a child, especially when the child's very young. It's pretty complete. You don't, as a parent, you don't feel embarrassed to ask the child to pretty much do anything you want. Like, the child doesn't turn to you as a 4-year-old and say, well, what right do you have to, decide a bedtime for me, or why would you choose my clothes or whatever? But even as a parent of a little child, where our authority has to be so complete for their good, we know that we don't command their attitudes. We don't command their desires. We couldn't do that. We command their outward obedience. When we think of someone having authority over us, the law of the land, we know that there are external behaviors that are expected and some things we have to avoid. But we don't feel like any president or governor or policeman can command my feelings about it, my attitudes. But God does. Every aspect of us is being measured by the law.
That's humbling. Again, we, especially here in America, we tend to have an anti-authoritarian view of a lot of things, and so you don't get to rule that part of my life, but God does get to rule that part and every other part. And that, when we see that, it's humbling. And perhaps out of order here, but if we fail to see that, it may be because we don't really see what God is like.
Yeah, he gives a great quote on page 18, and he says that the law of God is therefore, since it's connected with God, it is clothed with infinite authority. So it doesn't just touch every area. It has an infinite authority over every area.
Yeah.
Even all the authority that God has over his creation to dictate and command, God cannot make a law which will be attended with less authority than the authority that God possesses. So the logic is clear, but I haven't thought of it that way before. There is no way for God to make any law, no matter how small an area it touches, that has any less authority than the infinite authority that God himself possesses.
Mm. And because of that, and because God himself is perfect, we see that the law is perfect. There are no areas in which it's too strict or too lax. You can think of court rulings that you might look at and think are very strict, and others that you think, how did they get away with that? But that's never the case with God.